Hello everybody! Now I'll tell you a kind story from my life, which I always remember with warmth. My name is Natalie and I'm in high school. I've devoted all my life to sports, specifically women's soccer. I played for the national team, represented the school in various competitions, and I trained a lot, ran and had a routine of an athlete. I owe all this to my dad. He's the school's head coach. Dad was very proud of my achievements and was always glad that his daughter is a budding soccer player. Why soccer and not tennis or swimming? Well, everything is very simple. My dad always dreamed of a son, and long before I was even born, he'd buy soccer balls, team uniforms, and imagine how his soccer dreams will come true through his child. Dad suffered a knee injury as a child, which did not allow him to become a professional player, but he managed to become a coach and thus got closer to sports. When my parents found out that they were having a girl, Dad was not upset, but decided that he would coach his daughter instead. Of course, my mom was against it because she supported the idea that girls should do ballet or dancing. But she could not resist my father and after a while agreed to soccer. Dad made a huge contribution to my training. We started every day with a jog and a warm-up. I followed a diet and did not any junk food. Yes, it was difficult and I sometimes had a desire to just give up everything, but it's true when people say that sport hardens and strengthens character. I became a successful soccer player. My dad was very happy, my mother supported me, and I dreamed of only one thing: to enter the best women's soccer club in Europe. Everything went according to plan. I trained hard every day and my dad helped me with this. Until one day, this story happened. Soccer competitions between schools happened every year at a local stadium. The school team that scored the most points received the main prize, a trip to Disneyland. Everyone tried hard because such a cool trip was at stake. Dad selected the best female players and I was among them. Our intensive training and diet began. I was always tired and just wanted to sleep, but my dad did not give me a break even at home and always monitored my studies and food. I admit, this began to be very pressing and annoying. I began to hang out around school after classes because I did not want to go home. On one of these days, I walked slowly along the road, eating ice cream and just enjoying the beautiful weather. Oh God, how beautiful it was around me! And I was always training. How unfair. I sat down on a bench and was finishing my ice cream when a guy sat down next to me. He was very handsome and it seemed to me that I had already seen him somewhere. He was very handsome and it seemed like I had met him somewhere. He casually started a conversation asking what my name is, what I do. We got talking and Steven, that was the guy's name, turned out to be a very interesting conversationalist. I found out that he goes to our school, a year older, and he recently moved to our city. Steven, like me, played soccer and was also preparing for the competitions, but on the men's team. After talking for several hours, we exchanged phone numbers and agreed to keep in touch. Coming home, I felt like I was flying. All my thoughts were occupied by Steven. I was scared to admit to myself, but I think I actually liked him. Dad saw me smiling and asked suspiciously if I was okay. I replied that everything was fine and I was just ready to train. Honestly, it was the worst workout I've ever done. Everything that Dad said flew out of my head. I could not collect my thoughts, not understanding why this was happening. My dad was yelling at me, saying that there was less than a week left before the competitions, and I was showing weak results. And then he told me to go rest. Going into my bedroom, I saw a message from Steven, and for the rest of the evening we texted non-stop. The next morning at school, I randomly ran into him in the hallway. He asked me how I was doing and that he needed to know something. I wondered what he wanted to know. He then asked me to walk home after school and talk. I would be lying if I said that after hearing this, I had listened to what my teachers were saying. I was somewhere in the clouds, imagining Steven saying that he really liked me and confessing his feelings. Yes, I'm a romantic who believes in love at first sight. After school, I stood in the hallway and Dad walked by. He said he was going home and that we could go together if I had nothing else to do. I blushed and said that I would be a little late, and at the very moment, Steven came up to us. Dad understood everything immediately and said goodbye, but I felt terribly uncomfortable. Steven and I walked out of school. He asked me how my day was, how my training was going, and why I became a soccer player. I was enthusiastically talking about myself until he stopped me and asked, "The number of the school's beauty queen Lola." I did not understand why he needed her number, and then he began to say that as soon as he transferred to our school, he noticed Lola and did not know how to get to know her better. He said that he really liked her and he would be grateful if I helped him get to know her. To say that I was shocked is to say nothing. Lola is very beautiful, but insanely arrogant. She is friends with only the people of her social class. I don't know what Steven found in her, but I promised to help anyway. When I got home, I locked myself in my bedroom. I wanted to cry. I did not even go out to train. It was so unfair. He was the first boy I liked, and it was not mutual. After lying on my bed for several hours, I still did not want to do anything. Dad came in and asked what the matter was. I said that everything was fine and I just needed some time alone. My dad, who was always strict with me, sat down on the edge of my bed and said the following words: "Do not give up on your dream. You are a beautiful and strong girl who can handle everything. Fight for victories and for your own happiness." And then Dad hugged me tightly, as if realizing that I needed it so badly. And without another word, he left the room. The next day at the school gym, Dad put together 2 soccer teams, boys and girls, and held a regular training session. And then he called Steven over and led him to me. Dad winked at me and said that I was not good at dribbling and asked Steve to help me with the technique. He happily agreed and we began to practice. At the same time, we talked, joked, and laughed a lot. Time flew by very quickly. Steven again wanted to walk me home, saying that he found me to be an interesting person. We chatted all the way back and it was so easy and fun for me until I remembered about Lola. I handed Steve the phone with Lola's number, but he just waved it off. He said that he had already met her and thought that she was terrible. It turns out that my dad organized an exam in jumping and running at our school, and when it was Lola's turn, she did not pass it and began to be very rude, saying that she did not have to run around or jump, and that she was not some kind of animal to perform stupid tasks, and that we were all stupid for following someone's instructions. Having said this, she left, slamming the door of the gym. Steven was so disappointed in her and did not even want to hear her name. When I heard what happened, I was not surprised because it wasn't the first time Lola allowed herself such behavior. Saying goodbye, Steven wished me luck in tomorrow's competition. And he also said that he was very glad to meet me and that I'm the only girl he knows who is so easygoing and interesting. He also said he will be glad if I accept his invitation to the cinema. I was so jubilant inside. Entering home, I saw my dad sitting on the couch. He raised his head and then winked at me. I realized that the situation with Lola and our training was all he's doing. I winked at him back and happily jumped up the stairs. I was the happiest in the world, all thanks to my dad. If you liked the story, then press the thumbs button or leave us some comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe.